Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Jerry Horner, and with me today is Ginny Vance, and she's a fellow member of the Bella Vista Garden Club, and she's a fellow Benton County Master Gardener. And today we're going to be discussing upcoming events, and the topic of our program today is busy bees. And we'll also discuss what you need to do in your garden for the month of September. And I also first want to thank our sponsor, the Creeks Nursery on McNelly Road in Bella Vista, and they're a great place to shop for trees, shrubs, perennials, annuals, garden accessories. They've got everything, and a lot of rocks. You've got a lot of rocks from them.
Yes, we have.
And I have too. They're great for the hardscape. And when shopping there, please don't forget to thank them for supporting our TV show. We really appreciate them. And the upcoming events, we've got the Benton County Fair is going to be held September 28th to October 2nd at the county fairgrounds. Now, I don't know if you've been to the county fair yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, the Master Gardeners have a booth there, and they judge the vegetables and the flowers and the designs. So Benton County Master Gardeners are very active with the fair. And we have a lot of Master Gardeners that volunteer there, and it's a great place to sign up for Master Gardener classes. Mm-hmm. So you can sign up to be a Master Gardener right there at the fair. And the other thing is the Bella Vista Garden Club is going to have another Bella Vista daffodil sale this October. It's been, I think, mid-October. We haven't got all the details yet, but we'll have more details next month. But this will be about 20 to 22,000 Bella Vista daffodils that we've ordered and selling and spreading through the community.
Beautiful.
And we just don't know exactly where it's going to be and when, but we'll let you know. And the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks is having an international festival on Sunday, September 19th. So go to their website and check out that. That's going to be a nice little festival too. So, but today we're going to be talking about bees. A lot of people don't like bees. They're afraid of bees, but they're really necessary because they're declining. You know, their counts are declining mm-hmm. worldwide, and especially where you've, really disturbed their habitat, like in the United States and
yep.
cities.
Yep.
So, but we have to have the bees to pollinate, and we have a chart of different bees that we can show you. But the homeowners need to plant a variety of plants and trees and for the bees, so they have a variety, and they'll pollinate all your garden for you.
And it's amazing, after you're reading about the different types of bees, how we in our own gardens here in Bella Vista can bring these bees in mm-hmm. and with the pollinators, different flowers, and watch them mate, and it's so important to continue to do that.
Well, in California, they have beekeepers that just take their beehives from field to field, and if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have food.
Yep.
If we didn't have bees, we wouldn't have food.
Yeah.
But there's quite a few different bees. There's a chart we can show you. It's got some of the bees on it, and we're not going to be talking about all these bees, but there's just a lot of different bees. And as they fly through the air and land on plants, and then they flit away, sometimes it's hard to tell what bee it is, unless you're really a bee person. I'm not a bee expert, but sometimes I can identify them, but not usually because they're so quick. But these are some of the bees. But the whole population of bees is declining worldwide, and there's about 20,000 bee species worldwide.
Mm-hmm. And 70% of them, believe it or not, are nesting in the ground, which
yes.
I was not aware of.
Yes, I would say most of them were in hives, but they're not. They're in the ground.
And the majority of the bees that we have in our area, or at least in my yard, are the solitary bees mm-hmm. that we're going to talk a little bit about today. And believe it or not, the solitary bees are unlike the honeybees, where they don't go into large colonies, they don't produce honey, and they don't sting. I know when I'm out deadheading my garden, I can be right amongst the bees, and you're sitting there picking it, and they'll sit there, and actually sometimes they'll land on your hand, and they're indicating that you can actually pet them, which I wasn't aware of. But they'll land on your hand, believe it or not, and they don't sting. And they'll just sit there and kind of look, and off they go. So anyway, they tend to forage in our area, about 500 yards from a pollinator area. And what's interesting is that these type of bees, they seek cavities in dead wood. And one of them that we do see, I wanted to show you one of the actual wood pieces where they can have little, I call it bamboo pieces of wood. And I had this in my garden probably for 5 years. And in my garden, I actually have bees that actually had built little nests. And the nests that they build, they actually put the female larva in first, and then the male in second. And they always indicate that you can have these, and you can make them by yourself too.
You can use reeds
or anything, or actually put a 4x4 piece of wood, and you can drill holes and put paper straws in these little holes, and you can just do that, and
that would be a good way to clean them out too.
Yeah,
you should clean them out at the end of the season.
Well, they're indicating you should not keep these in this reed type environment for more than 2 years. You need to clean them out, and I wasn't aware of that until I started reading about the mason bees.
Yeah, because this,
and she's got a brand new one.
I got a brand new one I just found.
Yeah,
and it's I don't know if you can see that. It's in box stores, I have them, and you know, it's something you purchase. It's got different types. There's even like a butterfly little holder there. Sometimes they say butterflies go in those little slats, but I don't know if they do or not. I've never seen, I've got a butterfly house out for years, and I've never seen a butterfly in it. But it's just a little decorative thing you can put in your garden and you know, attract the bees if possible.
Well, what's interesting, another thing that I read about the mason bees, especially the ones that are in our area, you need to leave an area of your garden open for the mud. And they actually take that mud and will seal the holes in these little areas. And then, like I said, the different types of bees that they have, they will build these little nests and seal it in. But they need that mud, and I wasn't aware that you need the mud. Now you can buy the mud online, but
I think we got a picture of the mason bees.
Yeah, the mason bees.
Show the picture of the mason bees, what they look like. There's some mason. They're not very big. Look how small they are.
No,
you know, they're little bees.
They're little bees, and they're so. And this is something that we're able to do in our own yards in order to keep bees.
And the next one shows the one of the houses. There's one of the houses where they've sealed them up with mud after they lay their eggs, and they lay the female eggs in the back. So the longer the little hole is, the more females we'll have, and they lay their males in the front. So. You know, the more females we have, the more bees we'll have. So they have to be.
Another thing that's interesting, the male bee actually dies shortly after mating, which I wasn't aware of. And the females will seek a cavity and prepare their own nests, and they overwinter in our area. They overwinter in these nests or their own nests that they make in wood and so forth. So that's real important to know that, to keep them in your area. And they come back.
They usually come back the same area. Every year.
And it's important in the spring, I think, to make sure you, in the early spring, to get those bees active. They're indicating you need to have flowering, different type of flowers early in the spring, so the bees can pollinate early in order to bring them into your yard. So that was another thing that
I think we had some other pictures of other homes that you can have for the mason bees too. There's a mason bee home you can make out of a block of wood, and And then I think there's another, they're making mud for the mason bees. They put the mud on the end
Yeah.
and seal them up. So mason bees are really interesting and once you start learning about them.
Yep.
And the next one we have is a leafcutter bee. And a lot of people complain about the leafcutter bees because they cut little holes in their plants and thinks they have, they have to spray them or something. But we have a picture of a plant that was visited by a leafcutter bee. There's her leafcutter damage. So when you see that, don't get out any sprays and don't worry about it. It's just a leafcutter bee that has taken some leaves for their nest, and they just line their nest with that. So don't have to worry about that. And these bees are all in the family they call, let's see what they call them, Megachilidae family. So, and there's just a ton of bees in that family. So we're just showing you a few of them. I'm certainly not a bee expert, so we probably need at some future point to get a bee expert so we can really explain all these bees. So, and some of the bees are smaller too. The leafcutter bee is not very big, but the fairy bee is really tiny. Look, that's a quarter it's sitting on. It's a coin, that's a quarter, and look how tiny that is.
Very small.
So you'd think maybe it was just a gnat that flew by or something, because they're so small. The fairy bees are interesting too. And then we also have the digger bees. Digger bees have visited me over the years, but not like this year. This year I have so many of them. They're in my rose bed. They're in my lawn where there's a little area where the grass is thin. Mm-hmm. And they have just had a picnic out there. I mean, I just got them everywhere this year. So this is
I've only seen in my yard, like I said, the regular bumblebees that look like little pandas, the real fuzzy ones, and the diggers. But I didn't realize you needed to keep an area for them to be able to dig, because I've mulched the majority of my lawn.
Right, yours is all heavily mulched.
Heavily mulched.
That's their home. That's what they dig in the holes. So you can see that area of grass we have to work with because it's got to be rock there.
But you look at that and you think that's an ant hole.
Oh, yeah.
And you would never know.
Because I had someone come up to me and say,
bee.
you got a lot of ants in your front bed, in your front lawn.
Yes.
And I said, no, they're not ants. They're
digger
bees.
Yeah.
But I watched them one time. They were digging, and those little feet, and they're just digging that little hole, and little bitty tiny pieces are coming out, and pretty soon they have a pile of dirt. It's like sifted, flour. They've just made little tiny pieces of that dirt in it. Pretty soon it's a big mound they've taken out of that little hole. It's just fascinating
amazing what
to
they're
watch
able
them.
to do. Yeah, it is.
It is. It's amazing. But they're just interesting to watch. But don't be afraid of them because they don't sting.
Yep, they don't sting.
They don't sting you.
Yep. And
they will fly around you, let them know that they're there, and they're kind of hovering over their little house, their little holes, and trying to protect their babies, but they don't really sting you. No. So
well, and they do come down at your head, when you're in there, like you look and you go,
try to scare you away.
They try to scare you away, but they really don't sting.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And they do look, some of them look similar to yellow jackets, so people really are afraid of them.
Yep.
But once you realize they're not yellow jackets and they won't sting you, you'll be okay.
Yep.
And I personally have never been stung by a bee or a wasp in my whole life that I know of. So I have no idea if I'm allergic to them or not. A lot of people have allergies, and they have very severe, reactions to a bee sting.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would or not, but I've never been stung.
Yeah.
But,
well, I got stung by a wasp this last summer, and I still have my spot.
Yeah.
And it actually stung me twice, and then my husband once, which I didn't realize.
Oh, they can do it multiple.
Wasps can do multiple.
Yeah, wasps are a different animal. They're a different species. So, but anyway, we also have a picture, I think, of Ginny's Zinnia with the little bumblebee on it.
These are my little buddies.
Yeah.
That come into my garden, and I've got a lot of pollinator plants.
Oh, you do?
That they love. They love my Veronica. They love my Zinnias. They love right now everything
Like a
that's
lot
in
of
bloom.
salvia, too.
The salvia,
Yeah.
yep, the salvia.
Yeah. Your garden is just a vast
Yep.
jungle of plants. It's beautiful.
Thank
It's got so many different varieties, and so they really are attracted to that. So, and then the other thing we need to talk about are things to do in your garden for the month of September. And, and don't forget to, while you're feeding the bees or allowing bees to nest in your garden, don't forget to feed the hummingbirds.
Oh, yes.
The hummingbirds are really, really populous this year. So
A lot of people are indicating they don't have hummingbirds in their yards or bees, which is kind of
really? That's
interesting.
sad.
But I've not had a problem, and my hummingbirds, I've got 4 feeders all in one area, and I probably have 20 to 25 coming and going. So, like I said, it all depends on what's in your area.
well, I think you just have to supply those pollinator
Yep.
plants. You have
Yep.
to supply a diverse variety. And some people just plant, like all one type of annual or whatever. So, make sure you have a diverse amount
Yep.
of different plants. So that'll attract them too.
Yep.
So, but anyway, annuals and herbs, you have to keep deadheading your annuals and your herbs. Don't let your basil bloom or it just won't produce anymore. And then you want to continue fertilizing your annuals till September, but probably mid-September you could stop, depending on the weather.
And a lot of petunias, depending on the type
Yeah,
of
you
you've
have
got
to
to cut those
deadhead.
back.
Yeah, they get kinda
cut 'em,
leggy.
yeah, dead.
Yeah.
Actually cut them back to rebloom.
Yeah.
They're getting leggy. Yeah, I've had to
And
do that
sometimes
with
you
mine.
can save the seeds from your annuals, and then use them next year. And of course you can dry your herbs for future use. I like to do pesto with my basil at the end of the year when you have so much of it. And put that in the freezer. I make the pesto, and then I put it in little ice cube trays.
Oh,
So it's like a tablespoon of pesto, and I freeze them, and then I take them out of the little plastic things and put them in a bag and freeze them.
that's a good
Take
idea.
out like 2 tablespoons pesto, and there you go.
It's a real good idea.
Yeah.
Anyway, as far as the perennials are concerned, in the fall is still a good time to plant perennials, and it's a good time to deadhead and to divide them if they're overcrowded. And also the spring blooming perennials, the irises and the peonies, it's a good time
Yeah,
to
peonies like to be planted
divide
in the
this
fall.
time of the year in the fall. And here again, you can still plant your perennials and shrubs this time of the year. We still have time before it freezes. So watch, just make sure, the water is established.
Watch your water.
I know my hostas right now are ready to be divided on some of them, and it's better to divide them in the fall than in the spring, and because they'll flop over and don't come back so well.
Yeah.
Other than that, keep on watering.
Oh yeah, we've had a drought going on for a couple weeks now. We just get a spitting of rain here and there, so we have a late drought this year.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. And the roses, I really haven't seen hardly any Japanese beetles this year or last year. Now, some people said they've seen them, and they are bothered by them. But
I've seen them, but like I said, they didn't devastate my roses.
No.
My
So
knockout roses.
Maybe they're moving on somewhere else. I
know.
don't know. We can only hope. Yeah. Because they're so destructive, and they really don't have a natural predator because they came from Asia,
Yeah.
and we don't have their predator. So, but just keep deadheading and check for your black spot. But you want to stop fertilizing after early September. If you fertilize too late, then that new growth might get zapped when we have the first freeze. So, but just kind of monitor your roses for the black spot.
Yep.
And you can use baking soda. I know Tony has cornmeal he uses on his roses. So,
Lawns, we still need to keep up watering with those, and at least 1 inch weekly. Late summer is a good time to overseed the fescue lawns. Freezing seeds for a few days helps the application to germinate. apply a pre-emergent. I know you had your pre-emergent done. I need to get ours done to control those weeds that are coming up.
And I found out about that freezing the seeds. I think it was from a lawn service, our website, I forget which, but I found that if you freeze the seeds for a few days and then scatter them, it germinates better. So I never had heard that till I looked
Was
it
that
up.
for fescue, or was that
I think
for
that's mainly fescue.
fescue other than
Yeah.
the southern grasses?
Yeah. We mainly have fescue here and zoysia.
Zoysia.
And of course we have bluegrass, or not bluegrass, Bermuda.
Right.
A lot of Bermuda.
I've got a Bermuda grass.
We started out with zoysia sod, and it had some Bermuda in it. Well, 25 years later, we have Bermuda and no fescue. I mean, no zoysia. So the Bermuda is very aggressive.
It is.
So, but it's a nice lawn. So, and trees and shrubs, they can be planted later in September. Your trees and shrubs when the weather cools. It's really hard to plant trees and shrubs when it's so hot, and they need so much water. So if it's a little cooler, they do a little better. And you got to replenish your mulch around your trees and shrubs in the fall. So get for winter protection. So
there's still vegetables that can be grown. There's you can plant turnips, mustard, spinach, and lettuce and radishes until mid-September. The main thing is to keep your diseases and pests controlled in your garden for next year. So clean up and remove any of the old leaves and stems. Pull out your tomato plants. My tomatoes are still producing.
and you're still getting peppers.
And I'm still getting peppers. Yeah. They're still-
cucumbers.
Cucumbers.
The neighbor's coming by with a lot of cucumbers.
Yes, every time you turn around.
Yeah.
Anyway, make sure you don't put any of that tomato plants in your compost piles. And don't forget to next year or rotate your crops.
Oh yeah, you should always rotate.
Yeah.
Now, I think if you plant them in pots, I've seen a lot of tomato, growers plant them in like 5-gallon pots, and I'm pretty sure you need to use new soil.
You do every year.
Every year.
I grow in the 5-gallon pots, but my cherry tomatoes do very, very well in the 5-gallon pots. But this next year, I'm going to have to do, if I do them in pots other than raised beds, my 2 tomatoes, my early girl, and then I had a heirloom tomato. They produce very good in the very beginning, and then they dry out so quick. So my 5-gallon pots, I'm going to have to get rid of those for next year for my tomatoes. I'm going to have to do
7-gallon pot.
well, they're indicating 10 or 20
Oh,
possibly.
okay.
But when I emptied those out, the root balls of
Oh, yeah.
those tomatoes, I mean, it's full.
Yeah.
So
Right, the soil's gone,
The
it's
soil
all
is
root.
gone. It's just all root of those 5-gallon buckets for the tomato plants. So
really do put out
next
a
year
lot
I'm
of
going to have to do something different. I mean, they produced in the very beginning, but now, which is should be a good time to be doing tomatoes, they're gone. So.
Okay. So, and this is a good time to try to kill invasive plants such as poison ivy, honeysuckle, and privet, because now is the time they turn their energy into their root system instead of leaves. But, a good herbicide is a 20% horticultural vinegar, and it might take several applications, but it's better than using, dangerous chemicals. So.
Did you ever get rid of your poison ivy in your
Oh yeah,
beds
I
there?
just get a sprig here and there. I don't have a big patch of it, but every once in a while I'll just see one little sprig coming up. So I take a Walmart bag and I turn it inside out, and then I grab that poison ivy plant and I pull it through, and then I throw it in the trash. Because I never used to get poison ivy reaction. I could just pull it or go pick out a golf ball out of the patch of poison ivy, and it never bothered me. The last few years I've been having a reaction, so I have to be very careful with poison ivy now. I guess as you get older, your immune system goes down or whatever, so just be careful of poison ivy.
And sumac.
And sumac, and I haven't seen any of that around, but just be careful if you're sensitive to it. I found that like reverse bag, just pull it out and then close it up in that bag and then throw it in the trash.
Good idea.
But I haven't found a big patch of it. I've just found a sprig here, and then a sprig on the other side of the house, and then a sprig, back in the back. So I don't know why, I guess the birds are dropping seeds or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, there are quite a few invasive plants around, and you have to be sure not to plant any invasive species. So. Okay, if you have questions about gardening in September, you can go to the Master Gardener website, and that's bentoncountygardening.org, and there's just a ton of information there about gardening. And also the Bella Vista Garden Club website. We've got a lot of information about gardening in our gardening info, and a lot of links to different websites. Oh, and there's a website that we were talking about the bees.
Yes.
Was it
It's called iNaturalist.
iNaturalist.
It's an app on your iPhone or your Android phone that you're able to download different bees and other insects. It's for all type of insects, and you can download those pictures.
So you take a picture with your phone.
You take a picture on your phone, and then you download that, and then if you don't know what type of bee or wasp or insect or whatever, you're able to download that in these master naturalists. Upload, not download, upload. You're able to get conversations going about what's in your yard.
And they want to know what insects are where, so they want to know your location and
your
and all
location and zone. Yeah.
So that's a good source.
It is very good source.
I forgot to mention that earlier. So, but you're our app Zeke, so you know all about apps and phones.
Yes.
So you're our technical person. So, but that's good information too. So you can find out what insects you have in your garden. So
yeah.
And then the Bella Vista Garden Club is going to have their first meeting of the year at September 22nd, 9:30 is social time, and 10 o'clock is the meeting. And we're fairly sure the meeting will be at the community church in Bella Vista, but we're not totally sure yet. We're still in the planning stages. But it's going to have, we're going to be presenting 2 Bella Vista Garden Club Dorothy Wallace scholarships. They're $4,000 each. So we're going to be presenting 2 of those to students of the U of A this year. Now this year we're giving away $8,000. Last year we gave away 2 $4,000 scholarships. And the year before that we gave away 2 $4,000 scholarships to veterans that were registered at the U of A. So all of the proceeds we get from all of our fundraisers, they go to a very worthy cause. Because these students are just our future. And I think, in fact, we have a speaker at the September meeting who's Megan Langford, I think. She was a recipient of 2 of our scholarships 2 years in a row. She got one of our scholarships years ago. And she is now the head horticulturalist at the Botanical Garden of the Ozarks. So, these students can go a long way with these scholarships. They really need them.
Yeah.
So, and then you can, like I said, check the Bella Vista Garden Club website for any changes in the meeting location or time. So we'll have it on the website if there's any changes. So, but thank you, Ginny, for joining me today. We always learn so much when we, do these programs.
We do.
And about bee pollinators. So not only can we share it with you, but we learn at the same time. And it's just great that our viewers appreciate all this information. Hope they can use it. So I hope you've enjoyed the program this month. Until then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.